Okay, welcome to the TEEP podcast, sponsored by SECO and Energy. I'm your host, Gary Gildert, and I am joined by our interns, Hisham and Carla Romero. We will talk about the upcoming events, we'll recap some past events, and we'll have a discussion on an article that Carla has written. So, upcoming events on Friday, February the 13th, we have the Energy in Action Seminars, AI and the Net Zero Journey with Shell. This will be at the University of Houston at the Sugar Land campus. We also have the Energy in Action Seminar on Artificial Intelligence in Energy Processes on Friday, February the 27th, 4 to 6, also at the University of Houston Sugar Land campus. The Energy Transition webinar series continues on February the 10th, and this will be of special interest to our audience because it'll be with Dub Taylor from PACE talking about project financing. Last but not least, I'd like to announce that we will have our TEEP Water Forum on March the 5th here at the Technology Bridge of the University of Houston. It'll feature 3 speakers in the afternoon, plus the South Texas section of AICHE will have their dinner that night, and we will have a speaker talking about water issues as well. Details to be announced shortly. Also on March the 5th, we will have the Pinch Workshop featuring Alan Rossiter. You might remember Alan as the previous lead of TEEP. He will be talking about practical techniques on improving energy efficiency. So in case you missed it, the ETI webinar series was just this past Tuesday, and it talked about multi-scale exploration of critical minerals, integrated hyperspatial remote sensing and geochemistry. That's a mouthful, but recording is available on the Energy website. Also this past week, we took a road trip. We went to the Houston Advanced Research Center, also known as HARC, up in the Woodlands. I'm really glad we got out there to take a look at a very advanced office building. So, Hisham, you joined us out there. What did you think of the place?
Yeah, I thought that building was very interesting, and I liked that they gave it the name Living Lab. First, it didn't make sense until Carlos Gamarra explained to us how the term Living Lab is used. Every day that they operate, they consider all of their total energy usage, all the way down to a coffee machine. And I thought it was very interesting seeing even how they constructed the building in regards to being energy efficient and saving on HVAC costs, computer costs, a lot of small details, but they add up to the overall value of the building.
It's a very interesting demonstration of net zero building construction. So Carla, you were also there. What did you think?
So I love that the campus was not only a hub for innovation, but it was also a bird and bee friendly space. I love
I thought that was really fascinating as well. They can even see the little rabbit burrows around there. That was kind of neat. They kept it a very natural landscaping.
Yeah, they had the natural stormwater management system. I thought that was very unique for them to plan around it. And I was also impressed with the EPA Energy Star rating. That's 99 out of 100 for 7 years in a row.
Yes, well, this was meant as a demonstration of what was possible. But personally, I was fascinated by the wall construction, having an R50 wall in a commercial building. That's unheard of, but it shows that it can be done.
Yeah, I was impressed, but I also thought it was a crazy investment for the energy efficiency gains.
The marginal gain, admittedly, was a little bit, wasn't great, but it was nice to see what could be done so they could demonstrate to others and at least some aspects of that building construction. And the building philosophy, I think, was very valuable as a laboratory, as a demonstration of what could be done. Even the geothermal-based HVAC system, it's innovative. You don't see that very often, and it is more efficient.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, whether it's all cost-effective, we'll talk about that some other time. Okay, so next up, we are talking about the second half of our article on hydrogen production. This time it's from electrolyzers. Tell us what metrics were used in evaluating different electrolyzers for hydrogen production.
The metrics are the same from last week. As Hisham said, we use the first law of energy efficiency, which is the lower heating value of the hydrogen produced divided by the total energy inputs. And we also use the cost, the capital expenditure of dollars per kilogram per day.
Okay. So there were 3 different electrolyzers you looked at. The first one was alkaline electrolyzers.
Yep. Alkaline has been around the longest. It uses a potassium hydroxide solution, and it runs on cheap nickel electrodes. This makes the capex the lowest, which is from $900 to $1,300 per kilogram per day. And these low-cost nickel-based electrodes actually keep the initial investment down. There is a catch. It has a slow response. It doesn't respond well to fluctuating power, which is a problem if you're trying to pair it with solar or wind electricity.
Okay. So tell us about the proton exchange membrane electrolyzers.
This one uses a solid polymer membrane instead of the liquid one. It's pretty fast. It can wrap up and down with the renewable energy sources, and you can actually get higher purity hydrogen at higher temperatures, which is advantageous with downstream product compression costs.
So what are the advantages of the PEM electrolyzer?
You can get higher hydrogen at higher pressures, which is advantageous to product compression costs. The downside is that it needs platinum and iridium catalysts, which are costly. And so that makes PEM a higher capex than the alkaline. This is at a range from 900 to 1,500 per kilogram per day.
Okay.
But the operating costs are actually lower because of that solar and wind renewables flexibility.
So what about this new type of electrolyzer we're hearing about?
That's the anion exchange membrane, my favorite personally, because it uses hybrid approach. It uses a solid membrane from the PEM, but it's in an alkaline environment. So you can skip all those expensive precious metals, and the target capex is said to be from $900, $1,500 per kilogram per day. The problem is that newer AEM systems are proving themselves commercially. Their key challenge is that the long-term durability and the performance data is still at a full commercial scale. It hasn't been fully established.
Okay. So you haven't really mentioned efficiency on any of these. Is one better than the other?
Well, all 3 surprisingly operate at roughly the same voltage, 1.8 to 2.4 volts, which translates to around 50 to 70% efficiency. I did my calculations at a typical 2.1 volts, and that's around 60% efficiency.
Okay, so this does sound like a lower efficiency than the previously mentioned fossil-based hydrogen production. So out of these 3, which one do you think is the best?
It would depend. If you need a more mature, low cost, then go with alkaline. If you want to pair it with renewable energy and need fast responsiveness, then go with PEM. But I'm optimistic in the future and the cost reductions that anion exchange membrane offers, so I'd keep an eye on them.
So you think that one will supersede the other 2?
Maybe.
Okay.
We'll see.
Thank you for very interesting analysis and work on the electrolyzers. So this has been the TEEP podcast brought to you by SECO and the Media Lab at the University of Houston. I'm your host, Gary Gildert. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode on industrial energy efficiency in 15 minutes or less.